Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Good afternoon. Let's see, Ms. Bridgewater, when is the SAP reset date?
September the 20th.
Okay, thank you. And I know that Jill was busy this morning, so we'll give them a little time to get on.
And Your Honor, if I may, I do have a few announcements.
Okay, Ms. Gant, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I did request a conflict attorney for position number 2. However, I have not received confirmation as to whether or not one is available. Position 2 fielder.
Okay,
Position 4, I'm requesting a breakout for MH.
okay,
And position 1, Bussy, is a medical reset to C, to tomorrow's C calendar.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, courtroom 3.
Hey, I'm sorry. I have Ms. Fielder. We're ready for courtroom number 3, Judge.
Okay, let's see. Ms. Fielder needs a conflict attorney this afternoon. So we apparently, I'm not sure if we do have a conflict attorney or if one was requested for her. Ms. Champion, do you know if Ms. McLeod is on?
Ms. McLeod is signing on, Judge.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. McLeod. Have you had the opportunity to speak with Ms. Fielder? Can you hear me, Ms. McLeod?
Starting.
I'm going out there.
Can you hear me, Ms. McLeod? Okay, we'll come back to Ms. Fielder. Who do we have?
Ranelli. Let me get those other cards. I only have those 2 cards.
I didn't catch the name.
Position number.
Kayla Ranelli,
Ranelli.
Ranalli.
Position number 7.
Okay, thank you. And is this your case, Ms. Gant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, good afternoon, Ms. Ranelli. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You have been charged in case 22 CR 008145D with driving under the influence of alcohol, concentration of 0.08 grams or more, improper erratic lane change, and driving under the influence of alcohol less safe. Is there a history? Good afternoon, Ms. Jackson.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm sure they brought it to your attention. We have a new PSA. The defendant does have one cycle. The defendant's last arrest was March the 24th, 2009 in Douglasville, Georgia, for aggravated assault and criminal damage to property in the second degree. Those charges were amended. The defendant does have one misdemeanor conviction out of Douglas County for simple assault and criminal trespassing. The defendant does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR, Your Honor, nothing in addition.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Lett.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. One moment. On December 5th, around 10 p.m. of 2022, Detective Kiker observed a vehicle on Highway 9, just southbound of Holcomb Bridge Road in Roswell, failed to maintain its lane several times, nearly striking a median divider wall, as well as changing speed multiple times, going from 10 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour zone. Detective Kiker pulled over the vehicle and spoke with the defendant. Detective Kiker asked the defendant if she was going through a medical emergency, which the defendant stated that she was not. The defendant stated that she was coming from North River Tavern and had 2 beers and 2 shots. Detective Kiker observed the defendant to have slurred speech and droopy eyes. The defendant agreed to perform field sobriety tests. She performed the HGN walk and turn and 1-leg stand. Officers observed clues of impairment based on her performance of these tests and placed her under arrest and read implied consent. The defendant agreed to give officers a sample of her breath, and her blood alcohol concentration level came back to 0.184, almost 2.5 times the legal limit. Due to the defendant's reckless driving, going 10 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour zone, changing lanes erratically, and failing to maintain lanes, she was a danger to the community. She was more so a danger to herself as well. The state's recommendation at this time is going to be a $6,000 surety bond in total, $2,500 on each DUI charge, and $1,000 surety bond on the erratic lane charge, no driving, and no alcohol or drugs or weapons while out on bond.
Ms. Gant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Kayla Ranelli is 32 years old. She has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area for 14 years. She is the proud mother of a 9-year-old son. She is not receiving any child support, and she is the primary caretaker. Ms. Ranelli completed 2 years of college where she studied nursing. She is currently an accountant at a local automotive firm. She has been employed for 2 years. She strongly denies the allegations. And Your Honor, I would ask that Your Honor not consider any of the BAC concentration readings. The state has not laid a foundation for that. We did not hear of any prior driving offenses. This is a first and lifetime DUI. She is, of course, presumed innocent. I would ask for a signature bond. If Your Honor determines that she's ineligible, then I would ask for a more reasonable bond. DUI per se, $1,000, and $250 for the remaining charges, for a total of $1,500, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, so for each of the DUIs, it's going to be a $500 good bond. For the erratic lane change, a $250 good bond makes it a total of a $1,250 good bond. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Ranelli.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Judge, I have position number 5, please.
Okay.
See right there.
Good afternoon, Ms. Merritt. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Merritt, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008142E with battery family violence and simple assault family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Your Honor, the defendant does not have any prior arrests. The defendant does not meet the criteria according to the new PSA for a UJR because of the violent charge. Nothing in addition.
Okay. Ms. Salette?
Yes, Your Honor. On December 5th, 2022, officers were dispatched to 1955 Ladon Lane in Atlanta, Georgia. The remarks on the call stated that the victim had been attacked by the defendant and that the defendant had armed herself with the screwdriver and was threatening that someone was going to die today. When officers met with the caller, the victim in this case, Devin Isaac, he advised that the defendant was taking apart a bed in their home while using his tools. When he asked the defendant not to use his tools, this angered her, and it angered her to the point that she began punching the victim in the face repeatedly, causing visible swelling, which officers were able to see. Mr. Isaac advised that at that time, the defendant then armed herself with a screwdriver and verbally threatened him that someone was going to die today. So it was at that time that Mr. Isaac dialed 911. The defendant was on the scene at that time and was placed into custody. Due to the nature of the charges, this being a family violence case and her threats that she has made to him, and this event just happening on yesterday, the state is requesting a $7,500 surety bond, in total a $5,000 surety bond on the battery family violence charge and a $2,500 surety bond on the simple assault charge. No contact with the victim, stay away from the incident location, and third-party exchange for any children, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and a one-day anger awareness. And that victim's name is spelled Devin Isaac, Isaac. Nothing further from the state at this time.
Have you spoken to Mr. Isaac?
One moment, Your Honor. I believe that our office has been in contact with him. We have spoke with him, Your Honor. We have made contact with him. And he said that he would be willing to leave the residence. So I don't think he would have a problem with the no contact. And that would still be our recommendation, but regardless.
Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mercedes Merritt is 28 years old. She has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area for 3 years. She is married to the complaining witness, Mr. Devin Isaac. They have been married for 3 years. They share 2 children, ages 9 and 5. They all reside together in the marital home. Ms. Merritt completed high school. She also attended cosmetology school. She is currently employed at Dunkin' Donuts. She has been in that position since October of 2022. She strongly denies the allegation. She states that she was merely she states that Mr. Isaac was running toward her and getting in her personal space. She vehemently denies using any screwdriver to threaten him, Your Honor. I did have the occasion to speak to Mr. Isaac. He informed me that he wants to continue having contact with my client, as does Mrs. Merritt. I am asking the court for a signature bond, being that she does not have any prior history, no arrest or convictions for violence, and we are requesting no violent contact and that there not be a stay away in place, Your Honor. Thank you.
And Your Honor, I just wanted to clarify back through the notes. He did say that he would be leaving the residence and that he would like to have contact with the victim, but the state's request is still going to be that they don't have any contact at this time due to him not being on the line right now, and also due to this incident just happening on yesterday.
Your Honor, if your honor may sound for him, he indicated that he would be on the line. I don't see him, but there is an iPhone, one that's unnamed.
If Devin Isaac is on the line, now is your opportunity to address the court if you choose to do so. As Ms. Gann is an officer of the court and has spoken to Mr. Isaac, and he has given.
Hello?
Oh,
Hello?
are you there? Is that you, Mr. Isaac?
Yes, this is me.
All right, are you able to activate your phone,
Yes.
your camera?
Okay, I see it.
Okay, it's a little dark, Mr. Isaac. Do you
I
have
know,
any lights?
it's no lighting in here. Give me
Okay.
1 second.
All right, there you go. Can you raise your right hand for me?
Yes.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
When they called and talked to me, I did tell them that I wanted to drop the charges against her. I told them that I would like to have nonviolent contact with her. When I called the police, I wasn't trying to like make it to this far to where she went to jail. I was trying to just put it on file because I was gonna plan on leaving the residence yesterday to just put it on file that this altercation happened between me and her, and I was gonna leave the residence. But they said they had to, put her under arrest or whatever. But I did want to drop the charges against her, and I just wanted to keep the nonviolent contact between me and her.
Okay, has this happened before?
No,
And are you afraid of her?
no. I just
Okay.
didn't want it to get to a point to where I had to react to what she was doing, and then it would have been the other way around against me. So I just wanted to get it on paper saying this altercation happened between me and her, and that I was going to leave the residence.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
May I ask a few questions of the witness?
Yes, Ms. Select,
Mr.
go ahead. Mr. Isaac, you need to activate your
Yes, I'm
camera.
here.
There you go. Yes, go ahead, Ms. Select.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Isaac, did you call 911 on yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And were you afraid when she said that someone was going to die today with the screwdriver? Is that why you called 911?
It led up to that. She had the screw. She was trying to unscrew the bed apart, and I'm telling her, like, give me the screw, because it was my screwdriver, and it was her bed, so she was trying to take it apart. So I was like, give me the screwdriver, give me the screwdriver. I'm finna go. She said no, and then she said what she said. And then that led up to the altercation, of the physical altercation. I was pushing her, and she was hitting me at the same time. So that's when I called 911, because I didn't want it to get no worse than what it was.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further at this time.
All right, it's going to be for the battery, family violence, a $3,000 signature bond. For the simple assault, family violence, a $2,000 signature bond. Apparently, these are going through the jail at this point in time until I get some clarification from pretrial, which I have not had an opportunity to do as of yet. No further violent contact with Mr. Isaac, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right, good luck to you, Ms. Merritt. You also, Mr. Isaac.
Judge, position number 2, please.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was that position again?
Number
Position
2.
Thank you.
And I believe that this is Ms. McLeod's case. You with us, Ms. McLeod?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ms. Fielder. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? She's indicating yes. You're mute there, courtroom 3.
Oh, yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 008146B with simple battery family violence. Is there a history?
Your Honor, the defendant does not have any prior arrests on file. The defendant was not recommended because of the violent offense. Nothing in addition.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Ms. Duncan, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor. This offense did occur yesterday on December 5th, 2022 at 616 Woodward Avenue Southeast. The victim in this case is the defendant's husband, James Phillips. In this incident, Your Honor, officers were called to the location in reference to a domestic dispute. And as a result of that domestic dispute, the defendant in this case did admit to officers that she bit her husband. She also indicated that they are married and that they live at that address. We were able to make contact with the husband in this case. He said that his injuries were minor and not very visible. However, given this defendant's lack of criminal history, we do still have some concern about the risk of reoffense. However, the state is willing to offer a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. No further violent contact with the victim. If there are any children, they can act accordingly as long as it's not in a violent nature. 1-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor, we have no objection to the signature bond. I just want to say that my client is 51 years old and has no criminal history whatsoever. She is gainfully employed as a realtor. She has a bachelor's degree, and this is certainly not anything that happens frequently between them. My understanding is that her husband definitely wants to continue to live with his wife, and they both regret this incident, Your Honor.
I just want to clarify for the record as well, this incident was a result of alcohol consumption on the part of the defendant as indicated by the warrant. Nothing further.
It's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. No further violent contact with Mr. Phillips. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Fielder.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, that
I'm
concludes
sorry.
my business before the court today. May I be excused?
Yes. Good afternoon, Ms. McLeod. Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm sorry, can you give me, position number 7, bond amounts again, please? Come on, Ms. Sucky.
500 for each of the DUIs and 250 for the improper erratic lane change. So a total of 1,250.
Thank you, Judge.
You're
Now I have
welcome.
position number 8, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Sutton. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 008144C with battery family violence and simple battery family violence. Is there a history?
Yes, Your Honor, the defendant has 3 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was November the 23rd, 2021 in DeKalb County for simple battery and battery family violence. The defendant does appear to have an additional open case pending in DeKalb County for theft by shoplifting and one for battery and simple battery and disorderly conduct. The defendant does not meet the criteria for UJR. The defendant is charged with a violent offense, Your Honor. Nothing in addition.
Are those are they all
cases?
open? Yes.
They appear to be open in DeKalb County, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Salette?
Yes, Your Honor. On August 25th, 2022, officers were dispatched to 1421 Beecher Street in Atlanta. Upon arrival, officers could hear yelling coming from inside of the house. While on the scene, officers spoke with a victim in the case, Tayshawn Duncan. That's TAYSHAUN, Duncan, DUNCAN. And he stated that he and his mom, another victim in this case, Ivory Sutton, that's IVEREICE, Sutton, SUTTON, were packing their things to leave the home where they were living with the defendant, and that the defendant hit him with a stick. Officers did observe a cut to his hand as a result of being struck by that stick, and he was treated by Grady. The victim, Ms. Sutton, stated that before they got to the home, they were driving on Ralph David Abernathy, and the defendant began hitting her and pulling her hair. And Mr. Duncan was a witness to that incident as well. The defendant left the scene. Well, she was on the scene when police arrived, but she did leave the scene while police were there. That 2021 simple battery, family violence arrest out of DeKalb, that case is still open, and there is a bond order in place there where she is not to have any contact with Ivory Sutton, who was the victim in this case. So due to her having some previous violent arrest and violating her bond order out of DeKalb and having a violent contact once again with the same victim, the state's going to be requesting a $10,000 surety bond in total, $5,000 on each charge, no contact with the victim, stay away from the incident location, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and a one-day anger awareness at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Malika Sutton is 26 years old. She has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area her entire life. She has two children, ages 5 and 3. She is the primary caretaker and she is not receiving any child support. Ms. Sutton completed high school. At this time, Your Honor, she is unemployed and has been so for about 6 months. Prior to becoming unemployed, she was a forklift operator. She strongly denies the allegations, Your Honor. I am requesting a signature bond on Ms. Sutton's behalf. If Your Honor determines that she is ineligible, then I would ask for a more reasonable bond. There are no convictions in this case. She is presumed innocent in this and any open cases. Regarding contact, I did reach out to her brother, Tayshawn Duncan, one of the complaining witnesses. He states that he wants to continue having contact with his sister, and he could not be here today. He states that he is tending to personal business. Regarding Ms. Sutton, there is a no contact order, and we were unable to contact her anyway, as my client informed me, along with Mr. Tayshawn Duncan, that she is currently in custody now, Your Honor. So we are requesting that she be allowed to have no violent contact with Tayshawn. We are unopposed to the no contact order with Ms. Sutton. And again, a signature bond, Your Honor. Thank you.
Who lives at the Beecher Street address?
She informed me that that is that no one resides there. That is the date, that particular address is where they lived. They have since relocated, all have since relocated since that time, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, because we haven't made contact with the victims in this case, I would still ask that the stay away from that location. We would still be required. And if the defendant is no longer living there, then she shouldn't have a problem not returning back to that location.
Okay. For the battery, it's going to be a $1,500 good bond. For the simple battery, a $1,500 good bond. That's for a total of a $3,000 good bond. No further contact with Mr. Duncan. No further contact with Ms. Sutton. Stay away from the Beecher Street address, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Sutton.
Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, Ms. Gant.
The defense respects your ruling. However, I would like to bring to your attention, Your Honor, that I did speak to Mr. Duncan. He wants contact, and it is my understanding that he actually has her two children, ages 5 and 3. He is actually taking care of her children while she is in custody, Your Honor. She doesn't have anyone else to look after her kids, and she will more so be homeless if she's not able to return, given that her mother is not at that particular address.
Okay, where, so does she stay with Mr. Duncan?
Yes, they live together, Your Honor.
Okay, and he helps with the children?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, I'll change that to a no further violent contact since you have spoken with them. Thank you.
And Your Honor, just for the record, the state just wants to just put on the record that we object to the no violent contact with Mr. Duncan, just because we haven't been able to make that contact, Your Honor.
Okay, well, Ms. Gant, as an officer of the court, has been able to make that contact, and she made his wishes known to this court, so your objection is noted. Yes, who do we have next?
Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you all.
Position 3, Mar, and he also has a visitor in the gallery.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Morrow. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Morrow, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008148H with battery family violence, 2 counts. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson? You're on mute.
Thank you, Your Honor. The
Okay.
defendant has 5 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was April the 30th, 2022 in Cobb County for 2 counts of forgery in the 3rd degree and theft by taking. That case appeared to be still pending, Your Honor. Also, the defendant appeared to have an open case pending in Fayette County, Georgia, for false statements or writings and obstruction of an officer and impersonating a public officer or an employee. The defendant does not meet the criteria for UJR, Your Honor, because of the open cases and the violent offense. The defendant does have prior misdemeanor convictions and sentences. The defendant received first offender treatment in 2021 for a misdemeanor in Clayton County for carrying a concealed weapon. That case was sealed April 2nd, 2021. And the defendant received a nolo contendere sentence in 2017 for obstruction of an officer. And that was when in 2016, the defendant received a nolo contendere sentence for driving while license suspended or revoked. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident did occur yesterday, December 5th, 2022 at 4375 Cascade Road Southwest, apartment 140. In this instance, the victim is Janisha Bria, that's JAHNESHIA, last name BREA. Officers were called to this location in reference to a dispute. Upon reaching that location, case, she indicated that punched her in the face as she walked into the door with her 7-year-old child. After further discussion with both parties, because the defendant was on scene, it was indicated that the altercation occurred because the defendant had approached Ms. Bria about some messages she had through her phone. They do live together. It was indicated that at some point they had a romantic relationship. Ms. Bria did not want to provide her juvenile child who witnessed the act of battery family violence his name. It was also indicated that the attack continued further to the point where this case did deploy a taser, and that made contact with Ms. Bria. Officers were able to capture pictures of the bruises left by the taser. They also did indicate that the punch to the face so hard that it left Bria with a bloody nose. They also indicated that she had marks on her neck as well. They both indicated that their location. Officers also stated that there were some wounds on Mr. Marr as well, but the officer at that time, based on the circumstances, chose to arrest Mr. Marr for this offense. And there are 2 counts because he tased her, and then he continued to attack her initially by face. Within his history,
Ms. Duncan, I don't know if it's just me or if everybody else can hear you. You're having sound problems.
Can you all hear me?
What?
No, but there was some background for me as well, Your Honor.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
echoey.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes. You're fine. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. So given that there were a series of attacks during this incident, one is the punching in the face when she got into the door, and the other being her tased with a taser that was deployed, and both leaving marks, including a bloody nose and a visible bruising that officers notated. And this defendant's criminal history with those 5 other cycles, including misdemeanor convictions and 2 possible open cases, going to be arrested. an $8,000 total surety. That's $4,000 per charge. No further contact with the victim. A stay away from that incident location as stated on record. 1-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law. And the state makes this recommendation out of abundance of caution, given our concern for the particular safety of this victim. We were not able to make contact. We did try to, but we have not been able to speak with Ms. about this incident. Given that, we believe our $8,000 surety recommendation is more than reasonable.
Thank you, Ms. Gant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Mohammed Mar is 27 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area his entire life. He does not have any children, but he has family in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Your Honor, Mr. Mar informs me that the incident location 4375 Cascade Road is actually his address. He states that Ms. Bria does not live there. We are opposed to any stay away conditions. Mr. Mar obtained a GED. He is currently employed as an armed security officer for a private security firm. He has been in that position for the past 5 years. We are unopposed to any no contact provisions, as my client does not wish to have any contact with the complaining witness, Ms. Bria. I am requesting a signature bond on Mr. Mar's behalf. I did not hear about any convictions for violence, Your Honor. Mr. Mar, and with the court's indulgence, I just want to clarify something regarding the address, Your Honor.
Okay.
As our records indicate, Your Honor, it was agreed to by both parties who were on scene in the report that they both live at that location.
Okay, I do apologize. I had to check my notes. He maintains that Ms. Bria does not live there. In closing, Your Honor, I am requesting again a signature bond on Mr. Morris' behalf if Your Honor determines that he is ineligible, and I would ask for a more reasonable bond, no more than $1,000 for each offense, for a total of $2,000. We are opposed to any stay away provisions, and we would ask for no contact, Your Honor. And if Your Honor orders a surety bond, then we are opposed to the 1-day anger awareness. Thank you.
All right, so it's going to be a $1,500 good bond for each charge, making it a total of a $3,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Bria. He can go back to the Cascade Road address with law enforcement, escort. If Ms. Bria does not live there, then he will be allowed to stay there. If Ms. Bria is there, then he will have to collect whatever belongings he needs to collect and find someplace else to reside. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
And Your Honor, if I may, I do apologize for interrupting. I do not believe that I placed on the record that Mr. Marr strongly denies the allegations. He states that Ms. Bria was actually threatening to damage his property. She was upset about a key. He basically stated to her that she doesn't live there. She's not entitled to a key. She began yelling and pushing him. He lost his balance, and he states that he was merely defending himself, and she pulled a knife on him, and he felt that he needed to take measures to defend himself. And I do apologize for bringing forth those that argument after Your Honor's ruling.
You're fine, Ms. Gant.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything further?
Nothing.
Not good luck. Good luck to you, Mr. Marr.
Hi, position 6, Menard.
Good afternoon, Ms. Minyard. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Minyard, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008143Y with theft of service. Is there a history, Mr. Exon?
The defendant has 21 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was October the 6th, 2021 in Colorado Springs, Colorado, for a failure to appear. That underlying charge was not listed. The defendant does appear to have an open case pending in DeKalb County, Georgia, for driving while licensed suspended or revoked, and theft by or receiving stolen property, and possession of tools for commission of a crime, and conspiracy to commit a felony, and forgery in the second degree. The defendant does have a prior felony conviction and a sentence. There's one in 2015 out of Rockdale County for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. And the defendant received first offender treatment in 2009 out of Henry County for burglary and possession of a firearm during commission of a felony. That case was sealed August the 23rd, 2013. The defendant does have misdemeanor sentences and a conviction. The defendant received a nolo contendere sentence in 2019 for theft by deception, and there was one in 2017 for theft. The defendant does appear to have a history of failure to appear. There were 2 in 2021 and 1 in 2018. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Ms. Salette?
Yes, Your Honor. On December 5th, 2022, officers were dispatched to 3405 Lenox Road, which is a Marriott hotel. The manager at the Marriott stated that the defendant had been staying in one of their hotel rooms all day and hadn't paid for the room. When asked why he was at that hotel location, he gave several conflicting answers to different people at the hotel and to officers. There was also surveillance footage of the defendant buying drinks at the bar and not being able to pay for those drinks as well. According to the manager at the Marriott, the defendant had an unpaid bill amount of $738.41. The defendant does have a history of theft. I was also showing that there were several arrests between 2020 and 2021 out of Colorado, the charge being arrest for other jurisdictions. And I interpreted that to be something similar to some sort of bench warrant or having a warrant out at another jurisdiction. So the defendant does have a history of failure to appear arrest. Specifically, I'm showing from 2018 and 2019. So due to the defendant having those prior FTA arrests and being arrested in Colorado for other jurisdictions, the state would argue that he poses a significant risk of not appearing for court in the future. And due to his history of theft and this case at hand, he poses a risk to the property and a danger to the community as well. So the state would be requesting a $5,000 surety bond at this time, stay away from the incident location, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
Thank you. Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Deontay Minyard is 31 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area his entire life. He is the proud father of 4 children, ages 5, 6, 13, and 11. He completed high school. He has an associate's degree in criminal justice and theology. He is, however, at this time, Your Honor, unemployed because of a disability. Prior to becoming disabled, he worked with his mother in a counseling service as an administrative assistant. We strongly deny the allegations. Mr. Minyard maintains that he was a guest there and that the room was, there were 6 people in the room. I am requesting a signature bond on Mr. Minyard's behalf, given the nature of the allegation and his indigency. And we are not requesting a stay away. He does not have any belongings there. And if Your Honor determines that he is ineligible for a signature bond, then I would ask for a bond of no more than $1,000. Thank you.
It's going to be $1,000 good bond. Stay away from the Marriott Hotel on Lenox Road. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir.
Position 4, Mathis.
Okay, we're gonna need a breakout room for Mr. Mathis, so So Ms. Gant, Ms. Duncan, Ms. Falk, Ms. Bridgewater, myself. Anyone else need to go into the breakout room? Okay.
Madam Clerk, can you put me in the breakout?
All right,
Yes.
Derek.
All right.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mathis. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mathis, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008147D with one misdemeanor offense. I've had an opportunity to discuss your case with your counsel and with the solicitor's office. And the bond is going to be $1,000 surety bond. I'm going to have a social worker come down to visit you. You'd have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond, but you'd also maintain taking prescribed medication that you're currently on, okay?
Okay.
All right, so is there anything that Ms. Duncan wants to put on the record or Ms. Gant wants to put on the record?
Yes, Your Honor, the state would like to put the facts of the case on the record. In this case, it did occur on April 23rd, 2022. The defendant's wife, Ms. S. Mathis, did call the police. She stated to officers that her husband had been smoking marijuana that she believed to be other illegal drugs. It was causing him to act erratically, so much so to the point where she left the marital home because she could not tolerate his behavior. However, at a later date, she received a call from the property management indicating that there was flooding in their apartment, but they could not fix the flooding due to her husband's state of undress. She came back to the marital home, and it was indicated by officers that the marital home had been intentionally flooded because the drains had been intentionally clogged and water had been continuously running, causing there to be flooding substantially in the unit. Officers did notate as well that there were electronics on the floor while the home was also flooding. And in that, once officers were able to finally talk through the situation with the defendant in this case, the defendant voluntarily went outside in a state of complete undress in front of his other neighbors, and that is the reason for this offense, Your Honor. The state was requesting a $5,000 surety bond to remain as set. No alcohol, drugs, weapons, no further violations of Georgia law, ADET, and then the alternative MHET, nothing further from the state.
Anything, Ms. Gant?
Your Honor, this defense would like to just renew its submission to the court that my client strongly denies the allegation, specifically going outside. He states that he was escorted outside. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck to you, sir. And I believe that we're done.
Yes.
Yes, Judge.
All right.
It's gonna be,
Thank you.
quick announcement, Judge. Position 1 is gonna be a medical reset.
Okay, until tomorrow, right?
Yes, and we are
Okay.
completed.
And say it again.
And we are complete, Judge.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lot quicker than this morning.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Have a good one. Be safe.
Do the same.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Bridgewater, whenever you're ready.
Okay, once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is going to be December the 20th. Position number 1 is a medical reset till tomorrow.
September, December 20th.
December 20th,
Yes,
yeah.
thank you. Go ahead.
Position number 2 is reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through the jail. Position 3 is a reset to the SAP calendar with a $3,000 total good bond. Position 4 is going to the SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Position 5 is reset further notice with a $5,000 total SOB through the jail. Position 6 is going to the SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Position 7 SAP calendar with a $1,250 total good bond. And position 8 is going to the SAP calendar with a $3,000 total good bond. Are there any questions, comments, or corrections?
No, but if we may, I would like to discuss with Judge Morrow some administrative issues for tomorrow. We have a calendar that Judge Morrow